Hi children, welcome back to a new academic year. So this year's chemistry portions we start with our third chapter. This is the first chapter in chemistry, but in your textbook it is page number 32, chapter 3, synthetic fibers and plastics. So that is our first chapter in chemistry. So let's start with the chapter. Smaller classes, you have learned about fibers, isn't it? You have learned about fibers. Let's see how fibers are classified. What are fibers? All cloth materials or all fabrics that we use are made up of fibers. Fibers makes up fabrics. So fibers are classified into two types: natural fibers and synthetic fibers. Natural fibers and synthetic fibers. What are natural fibers? The fibers which are obtained from plants and animals. The fibers which are obtained from plants and animals are known as natural fibers. Now synthetic fibers are fibers which are obtained from chemical substances. Fibers which are obtained from chemical substances are known as synthetic fibers. Synthetic fibers are also known as man-made fibers or artificial fibers. Artificial fibers, man-made or artificial fibers. Okay, so fibers are classified into two types, natural and synthetic. Natural fibers are obtained from plants and animals. Fibers obtained from chemical substances are known as synthetic fibers. Okay, synthetic fibers are also known as man-made fibers or artificial fibers. Now examples of natural fibers. The fibers which are obtained, examples of fibers obtained from plants are cotton and jute. Fibers which are obtained from animals, wool and silk. These two categories you have learned in smaller classes. 6th standard you learned about cotton and jute. 7th standard you learned about wool and silk. So this part is over. Natural fibers, that discussion is over. Now this year you will learn about synthetic fibers, man-made fibers or artificial fibers which are obtained from chemical substances. The examples that we are going to learn are nylon, rayon, polyester, and one more is there, acrylic. The definition and examples you have already learned in smaller classes. Rayon, nylon, polyester and acrylic are examples of synthetic fibers that we are going to learn in this chapter. Okay, so let's move on. Synthetic fibers. Synthetic fibers definition we have already learned, the fibers which are obtained from chemical substances. Now the synthetic fibers, chemically we define them as polymers. Synthetic fibers are polymers. Chemistry we say that synthetic fibers are polymers. Now polymer is a Greek word made up of two words added together. The term polymer is a Greek term which is made up of two parts. The term poly, which means many, and mer means unit or part. So many small units or parts add together and you get a large single unit called polymer. Many small units add on and you get a large single unit called polymer. Okay. Now many examples are given there in your textbook to show what are polymers. Just like beads, we add beads to a thread to make up a necklace of beads. So this is the thread and these are the beads. Here each bead, and one more thing, each single unit or part we call as monomer. Each single unit that add up to form the polymer is known as monomer. In Greek the term mono means one. Each single unit is called a monomer. Now each bead represents the monomer, isn't it? Each individual bead is similar to a monomer and the chain as a whole, the necklace as a whole is equivalent to polymer. So you can consider the beaded necklace as a polymer where each individual bead is similar to the monomer. Similarly, one more diagram is given there. Many paper clips are connected together to form a chain of paper clips, where each individual paper clip similar to monomer, and the chain obtained, the large chain, single chain that you get, is known as the polymer, that is corresponding to the polymer. So these are just examples, but when you consider synthetic fibers, each repeating unit, monomer, is a chemical substance. Small units of chemical substance add together and you get a large unit, large molecule called polymer. Okay, so that's about what is synthetic fiber. Synthetic fibers are usually polymers, and each individual unit that makes up the polymer is known as monomer. Okay, the term polymer means many. The term polymer is made up of two parts, poly meaning many and mer means unit. Many small units add together to form a large single unit. Each small unit, individual unit, is called a monomer. Okay, and in case of synthetic fibers, each monomer is a chemical substance. Small units of chemical substances add together and you get a large single unit called polymer. The examples given are the diagram of necklace given, necklace made up of beads, where each bead similar to monomer and the chain as such is polymer. Similarly, paper clips are added together to form a chain of paper clips. Each individual paper clip resemble monomer and the chain as a whole is compared to the polymer. Okay. Now in nature also some polymers exist. One example is polymers exist in nature also. Cotton. Here the name of the polymer is cellulose. Okay, cotton is a common name. The polymer is chemically named as cellulose, where the monomer units are glucose. Glucose is the monomer. Many glucose units add together and you get a large unit known as cellulose, which is commonly known as cotton. Okay. So this is a natural polymer. Cotton is a natural polymer and it is chemically known as cellulose, and each individual unit here is the monomer units are glucose units. Okay. Now we have to learn types of synthetic fibers. We move on to our topic, types of synthetic fibers. So we learned about four examples for synthetic fibers: rayon, nylon, polyester and acrylic. Let's start with the first one, rayon. Last year we learned that silk fibers were discovered in China. Silk fibers were discovered in China, but they kept it as a closely guarded secret for many years. But silk, as you know, has a very beautiful texture. It has a lustrous, beautiful texture it has. So this fascinated many people. The beautiful texture of silk fascinated many people. But it is not affordable for all people, because the fabrics made up of silk fiber is extremely costly. So scientists made attempts to find a cheap substitute for silk. To prepare silk artificially. Scientists were working on it to find a cheap substitute for silk. Finally, towards the end of 19th century, they succeeded in making a synthetic fiber which resembles silk in its properties, and it was termed as rayon, and they call it as artificial. Rayon is known as artificial silk. Okay, so the beautiful texture of silk fascinated everyone, but it was not affordable for all people because of its cost. All people couldn't afford buying silk fabrics. So scientists were trying to find a cheap substitute for silk, or a fiber which resembles silk in its properties but less in cost. So they succeeded. Towards the end of 19th century, they succeeded in making fiber, artificial fiber which resembles silk in its properties. They called it as rayon, and it is known as artificial silk. A synthetic fiber which resembles silk in its properties is known as rayon. Now it is prepared by by the chemical treatment of wood pulp. Please note, it is prepared by the chemical treatment of wood pulp. Method is chemical, but the raw material used is from plant. So though it is a synthetic fiber, it is obtained by chemical method, so we consider it as a synthetic fiber, but the source is natural. So it is a synthetic fiber obtained from a natural source. From plants we get this fiber. So it is not fully synthetic. Rayon is not a fully synthetic fiber. It is a synthetic fiber, but partially it is natural too, because the raw material used is wood pulp. Okay. Now it can be dyed, it can be given, it can be woven like silk fibers. It resembles silk in almost all its properties. It is cheap in price. It is comparatively less expensive. Then it can be given variety of colors. We call it as dyed. It can be dyed in variety of colors. What is the meaning of? What is the meaning of? What is the meaning of dyed? It can be given various colors. So it is less expensive. It can be dyed in variety of colors. It can be woven just like silk fibers. Then one uses rayon is mixed with cotton. It can be mixed with a natural fiber cotton to make bed sheets, and it can be mixed with wool. Rayon can be mixed with wool to make carpets. Okay, so these are the two uses of rayon. That's about rayon. What is rayon? It is a fiber, synthetic fiber, which is known as artificial silk, because it was prepared, it's a man-made fiber. It is prepared by chemical method, but it resembles silk in its properties. It is known as artificial silk. It can be woven just like silk fibers. And how is it prepared? By the chemical treatment of wood pulp. The raw material used is natural, but the method is chemical method. So it is synthetic fiber, but it is not fully synthetic. It is mixed with cotton to make bed sheets, and also it is mixed with wool to make carpets. So that's about rayon. Then comes the most widely used natural fiber, synthetic fiber, nylon. This is a popularly widely used natural synthetic fiber, nylon. It is the first fully synthetic fiber. It is the first fully synthetic fiber. The materials used are coal, water and air. It is prepared using coal, water and air. No raw materials from plants and animals. So it is fully synthetic. Nylon is the first fully synthetic fiber. No raw materials from plants and animals are used in the manufacture of nylon. The first synthetic fiber prepared was rayon, but it is not fully synthetic. This is first fully synthetic fiber. First fully synthetic fiber prepared from coal, water and air. Okay. Now its properties are, let's see the properties of nylon. It is strong. Nylon fibers are strong, light, elastic, then lustrous. Nylon fibers are extremely strong. It is light in weight. It is elastic. Elastic property. What is elastic property? When a force is applied, shape changes. When the force is withdrawn, it comes back to the original shape. Then lustrous in appearance. So these are the properties of nylon. Now what are the uses? What are the uses of nylon? Since it is a fiber, it is popularly used in textile industry. It is widely used in textile industry. In addition to that, nylon is used to make a wide variety of things like socks, then toothbrush, then ropes for rock climbing, then parachutes, etc. So why nylon is used for making ropes for rock climbing and parachutes? Which property of nylon makes it suitable for making ropes for rock climbing and also parachutes? What is it? Nylon fibers are extremely strong. This is an important question. Give reason why nylon fibers are used for making ropes for rock climbing and parachutes, because nylon fibers are extremely strong. So, in addition to use in textile industry, nylon has widely used in other areas too. Okay, so the popularly used synthetic fiber is nylon. Most widely used synthetic fiber is nylon, and it is the first fully synthetic fiber which is prepared by not using any raw material obtained from plants and animals. The raw materials are coal, water and air. Nylon fibers are extremely strong, light in weight, elastic and lustrous. In addition to textile industry, they have a wide variety of applications too, like ropes for rock climbing, parachutes, all these are prepared from nylon. It is used in manufacturing socks, bristles of toothbrush, etc. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you, children.